Welcome. It's No Apologies on Beck, where we are unafraid to speak the truth. I am your host, Rick Becker, and our co-host, Lori Hintz.
Another week, another fabulous set of shows.
They go flying by.
They do.
Next week is Labor Day, and then we can't wear white anymore. I don't know. I think that's how it works.
Well, that's going to be a problem with your shirt. I'm just saying, because every single night for the last 8 months, it's been a white shirt.
You know what a maverick I am. I'm going to buck the system.
That's right.
All right.
Woo, living on the edge.
So we've got a good show tonight.
Yeah.
Very interesting guest that we're going to be having on. And our first segment, however, is going to be about economics and government involvement. And what I saw was a paper, an article in the Center Square on California. And go ahead and pull that story up if you would, please. It's a study out of Stanford. And it says, Texas outcompetes other states vying for California companies. Now, in the article, it says, as the exodus from California continues, Texas sees the most businesses relocating from California. Okay. It says, in the time frame analyzed, 265 California companies exited, with Texas receiving 114, followed closely by Tennessee, that received 89.
Wow,
Go
Tennessee.
Figure. Tennessee.
Go Tennessee. Right. Well, great leadership there.
Now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott said of the findings, our business-friendly climate with no corporate or personal income tax, along with young, skilled, and diverse workforce, easy access to global markets, and predictable regulations attract businesses to Texas from across the nation and around the world. That means jobs. And he is right.
Well, you saw Tesla there, and they got Elon Musk to go and leave California for Texas, so that's a biggie right there.
You bet. Now, this article comes from, as I said, a Stanford study, and it was presented by the Hoover Institution. We're going to talk about that paper, but what I want to do is put it in the context of what's been happening in North Dakota, because I have been
forever
preaching about how going the route of these economic incentives, when the elected politicians say we want to create a diverse economy, you don't do that. And this is what I keep saying: don't quit using taxpayer money to do these things that are focused, and they rarely seem to work.
Isn't that backwards? Shouldn't you just create an environment
That's exactly right.
Okay, you just have to create an environment that is helpful to anybody who wants to.
The state, the city, the country, whatever it might be,
county,
that provides an environment in which there is the least amount of taxes, the least amount of regulation, are going to have the most businesses and the most people. That's all that it takes. So let's dive into the Hoover Institution paper here. Pull that up, and this is, again, it's specifically tailored to California. And why are all the people leaving? They're looking at where are they going? What is it all? Hashing out to be? What are the focuses people are looking at?
Oh, so this is brand new too, August 2021.
Yes,
so
it's brand new. So pull up the next table, if you would, please. This is in this paper. It's very extensive, as I said.
Wow.
But here we have
whoa.
Right. So new projects, right? So these are big projects. It could be a factory. It could be a telecommunications. What do you call it? Like a phone bank.
Phone bank.
It could be anything, right? North Dakota is tied for last.
Ouch.
Yes. Now, the argument I would make against this is, well, North Dakota's very low population, right? So pull up the next chart.
Where?
The next table, this is per capita. North Dakota is tied for nearly last. And again, per capita, we are way down there. So the point of this is not to just be negative Nelly. The point is to say, okay, look, we have had in North Dakota an abundance of revenue, of state revenue, and what have we done with it? Because the focus from the entire time I've been involved in politics is we need to bring businesses in, we need to create economic diversity. So everything we've done, there's the 2021 results. We're at the bottom.
Right.
So we have to rethink how we're doing things, and maybe, just maybe, the idea that you don't go out and hand subsidies to specific businesses and industries, but you just create an environment in general, you build it, they will come. Maybe that's the way to go. Let's pull up the next chart, please. We're looking here at the best and worst states for business. So
we're underwater. We're not even halfway.
Right. So the problem is, you think, well, North Dakota is very conservative, very red, right? And we've got, gosh, we have low taxes and We must be a fantastic place to do business. And yet, we're in the lower half.
Yeah.
And that just shows that there's so much room for improvement. And
it's a little concerning that we're right near Alabama and Mississippi too, which is...
Now, and here, I'm going to digress just a bit here.
All right.
When I'm saying there's room for improvement, you know, I always get lambasted by my fellow Republicans because it seems as though we're not allowed to critique. Now, that's different than just straight out criticizing to criticize. Criticizing in a positive manner is to do things better, to try and be your best. And that's what teachers do for kids. That's what coaches do for teams. It just boggles my mind that we can't critique ourselves and say, gosh, can we do better? And if so, how can we do better? And you can't do better without recognizing that what you did was not the best that you could have done.
And you also, to be fair, you're not critiquing without solutions and an idea. So you can say something and make a suggestion, but if you give an actual alternative, that is completely different than just criticizing.
Right. And that's a very good point, because it's one thing to just criticize and say, you guys suck. It's another to say, you guys didn't do nearly as good as you should have, and here's what I think you should do. Or at least look into it, at least recognize that status quo isn't always best. I mean, we found that out with, going back to Wayne Stenhjem when he ran for governor. He said he wouldn't have changed a thing. Well, obviously that wasn't the right answer. You listen to President Biden now talk about Afghanistan. He said, hey, was inevitable. He wouldn't change anything. Are you kidding me? You can always change, you can always do better, but not without being willing to take on positive criticism.
And you got to understand, in North Dakota, we don't like change very much. It's just a thing, and we've got to kind of think outside of the box a little bit and move forward and make some adjustments to make our state a little more hospitable.
Yep. Now, let's put a little spin here and go more in the positive direction. Pull up the next chart, if you would. This table shows a rating of the United States, the various states, for economic freedom.
Wow.
Now, North Dakota is 13.
Fantastic.
Yep. And I think that is fantastic. We could do better. I think that's my point, is why not try and excel? Why not? I mean, gosh, it's just
It's really interesting to look at the top 10 there, though, too. You've got New Hampshire, which is tiny, tiny population as well. You've got Florida, which is just kicking everybody's patootie on all fronts there. But then you've got Tennessee, which or Texas and Tennessee, and then South Dakota. That's just really an interesting top 10. So we definitely should be in the top 10 with those other states. I think we're capable of that.
We should. There's another chart that I didn't take a graphic of, but when you look at Small Business Policy Index for state ratings, right, North Dakota is ranked 18th.
That's good,
so it's in the top half. But when you look at number 1, Texas, number 2, Nevada, number 3, Florida, number 4, South Dakota, number 5, Wyoming, these are all states without income tax.
Right.
When you look at, if you ignore Minnesota, on all of these rankings, by the way, Wyoming, Montana, South Dakota, they all beat us.
Can you imagine if we had no taxes? I mean, can you...
No income tax,
if we had no income
jump right
tax
up
in the
there.
state of North Dakota, we'd be kicking everybody's patootie.
Right. Well, I'll go one beyond that. If we had elected officials that were truly interested in doing something amazing, something legendary, which is a word we throw around a lot, for North Dakota, we would get rid of the property tax. And I tell you what, instead of Tennessee getting 89, North Dakota would be getting 89 businesses and all of those that go with it. My last table here, I want to give kudos to North Dakota. We rank number 1 when it comes to workers' compensation costs. So we have a very good system with regard to that. And it just goes to show that there is no reason why we should just be satisfied with 13 or 18 or 23. And so many of these, we are actually in the bottom half. Now, the reason I say that is because we've had so much revenue. It would allow us to do so much more. So much more. These other states are at a disadvantage compared to us, but they've beaten us. And I think that when you look at what's going to be happening in the future, we've almost lost the opportunity. We've had 10, 12, 15 years of oil tax revenue, and we should be in number 1, number 2, number 3 in every category. And I think I don't think the train has left the station, but it's coming close. If we don't turn around and do things, if we can't get our elected officials to say, wait a minute, maybe we should create an entirely improved environment and quit trying to pick winners and losers, just make a better environment for everybody, that's where we're going to see economic diversification.
Agreed.
That's where we're going to see North Dakota move up in the rankings.
Let's do it, guys.
Absolutely. All right. So
Next, Tom Luna, who is the state chairman for the state of Idaho, is going to give us a little update on what's going on in his state. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature Heroes, with the region's only Hero meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
At Beck Communications, we've been planning for your future. Over the past decade, we've placed nearly 200,000 miles of dedicated fiber optics in the ground, enough fiber optic strands to circle the world 8 times. Taking no shortcuts, we connected every home and business in our service area with dedicated fiber optics. It's your personal, unrestricted, unthrottled connection to the world. Best of all, this dedicated fiber means you do not share your connection. We call this intimate dedicated connection Beck Fiber.
welcome back to No Apologies on Beck. Well, very pleased to present our next guest. We have Tom Luna, who is the state chair for the GOP in Idaho.
Hi, Tom.
Welcome, Tom.
Hello, Lori. Hello. Thanks for having me on the show.
You're very welcome. We're happy to have you. So we've got so many things that we can talk about today in Idaho. You and I had a nice chat when we were in Tennessee and found out that we have a little bit of stuff in common. You do a little radio show.
Yeah, Red Wave Radio. And we're on 3 stations, 2 and to be 3 stations here in Idaho. So that's fun. And so it's exciting to see what you're doing with television. And, just get the opportunity to talk more about Republican principles and Republican values and highlight the good Republicans we have serving in our state and around the country.
I love that. That is exactly what we're all about on the show, too.
Let me ask you, so are you there, your radio show, is it specifically representing the state GOP or is it is?
Well, so it's my show, if you will, but they came to me when I became chairman and had this idea And so, we like the idea. So it's definitely an arm of the Idaho Republican Party now, and I'm assuming it will continue to be. But we highlight, like I said, our Republican leaders throughout the state and across the country, and but we call it Red Wave Radio, and
It's a great idea.
It's a great name.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Excellent, good for you. So I saw an article as I was looking on Idaho Stories, and I saw an article, and it was in the Hickory Record. And HickoryRecord.com says that the Idaho Supreme Court has rejected a new law, designed to make it harder for voters to get initiatives on the ballot. We've talked about this in our state as well. Can you tell me where things are with that Supreme Court ruling?
Yeah, I don't know what the initiative process is in North Dakota, but I can tell you that in Idaho, it's just too easy for people to get initiatives on the ballot, and they can't successfully move legislation through our legislature and successfully get the governor to sign it into law. So they try to use the initiative process, and we just don't want to become like California. I mean, that's where it comes down to, where when you go to California, you have 4 or 5 pages of just initiatives and propositions that are on the ballot, and that's what really ends up creating law and creating the environment that Californians can currently live in. So let me just break it down to you quickly, and I think it's easy to understand. We have 44 counties in Idaho and 35 state legislative districts. If people want to get the signatures necessary to put something on a ballot, they only need to concentrate on 4 of those counties. So we see this as a real threat to rural Idaho, and them just being ignored in the whole process of creating law and statute in Idaho. So we created a new plan. It successfully got through the legislature. It got to the governor's signature, and our Supreme Court said that it had gone too far. They didn't say how far over the line it had crossed, but I do think it's kind of interesting that the legislature that created the initiative process can't amend the initiative process. So I don't understand the court's ruling, but that's what we're trying to accomplish. It's really about just preserving, what's great in Idaho and the principles and values that made it great. And in order to do that, we have to make sure that rural Idaho continues to have an equal voice in what happens in our state.
So you have 4 major areas that are concentrated with far more people, and those areas are once again going to be controlling things.
And Idaho's the fastest growing state in the country, right? And those are the areas that are growing the fastest. So you can see the concern if you live, and I live in one of those population centers, but I also understand the importance of rural Idaho and rural America. My work in education as state superintendent here in Idaho, and working in the Bush administration on education issues, all focused on the fact that in too many cases, rural America is just forgotten, and it's because the population base isn't there. And so it's easy to forget them and focus on where the population bases are. That happens in business. It also happens in government. We can't allow that to happen here in Idaho.
So I have traveled around Idaho before. I love your state. It is absolutely beautiful. I've been from Coeur d'Alene to Twin Falls to Boise, and gorgeous, gorgeous state.
Lori, the fact that you said Boise correctly tells me you've been to Idaho a number of times, because most people say Boise, they put a Z in there. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, when people think of Idaho, the first thing that comes to their mind is Iowa, right? So they always get confused, right? And they're not very good at geography or whatever. But yeah, so Idaho is a large state, 500 miles top to bottom, 400 miles side to side. We're surrounded by 6 states in one country with Canada in the north. So but you've been from top to bottom and in between. So you've seen the most beautiful parts of the country, I think. They're found in Idaho.
It is. It's a lovely, lovely state. I particularly loved Twin Falls. I thought it was gorgeous. And Coeur d'Alene is stunning. Just lovely, lovely. I mean, from waterfalls to everything. It's just beautiful there. So I have traveled a lot around the United States, so I do know where Idaho is. And I will tell you that when you were talking about what are the 4 different metro areas that you have? Did I name a few of them there?
Well, yeah, you named Coeur d'Alene up north. That's very fast growing. Boise is what we call the Treasure Valley. And then Twin Falls is what we call the Magic Valley. If you would have continued to go east towards Yellowstone, then you would have come to southeast Idaho, where you find Idaho Falls, Pocatello,
oh, that's
Rexburg that has the largest LDS. There's an LDS college there in Rexburg, which makes it a huge population center also.
Sure, got it.
Let me ask you, I want to pop back to this initiated measure type of thing, or whatever it might be on the ballot to change. So do you not, I think I recall from reading on some of the articles that it does require that the signatures come from various counties or various districts. Is that incorrect?
You have to get signatures in a minimum of 18 districts, but you can get those 18 districts within four specific counties.
Oh, you can.
Because there's so much. So for example, Ada County, which is where you find Boise, they have 9 districts, right? So you can accomplish just half of those 18 and never leave Ada County, right? Which is where Boise is. So that's that. So what we wanted to do is you had to get 6% of the signatures from all of the counties, right? And it does raise the bar. There's no doubt, but we believe it also makes it more representative of the state and the full population, and it's absolutely critical. We had Medicaid expansion that happened here in Idaho as a result of the initiative process. And now Medicaid is the fastest growing part of our state budget. And guess where that money's coming? It's coming from the education budget because Medicaid is now becoming a higher line item in our state budget than our K-12 education. The next thing they want to do is legalize marijuana, $15 minimum wage. These are all in the process right now of going through the initiative process in Idaho. They're not even attempting the legislative route.
Yeah. All right, I've got 1 or 2 more quick questions on that whole thing, but if you can, Tom, we'd like to take a quick break here, and we'll have you right back.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay, folks, stick with us.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with 1 truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make 1 call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Prairie Patriot Firearms and Training is the region's most complete gun and training center. 5-lane indoor range, a gun shop, and a certified training facility. Firearms training courses are offered daily for new, intermediate, and advanced shooters. If you're not comfortable in a classroom setting, Prairie Patriot offers one-on-one private lessons, from basic self-defense training to concealed weapons testing, along with a full line of guns, ammunition, holsters, and concealment clothing. Prairie Patriot, 3930 Memorial Highway, prairiepatriot.com.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with 1 truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make 1 call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros, with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
All right, welcome back to No Apologies, your after hours oasis of sanity. I'm your host, Rick Becker, co-host Lori Hintz, and our special guest, Tom Luna, who is chair of the state GOP in Idaho. And Tom, we were talking during the break. I had a couple of questions. I don't think they're going to be of value in our limited time when it comes to the initiated measure, at least not the ones that I had. But you made a comment. I'd like you to maybe expound for our viewers your concern with the idea of how easy it is to change laws, perhaps change the Constitution, and what it means for Idaho, because we in North Dakota are concerned about the same thing.
Yeah, you know, there's a real concerted effort by, if we're talking about the efforts that the Democrats currently have to flip our state from blue to purple, and then, from red to purple and then blue. Is that what you're talking about? And you
yes.
Delve into? Yeah, you know, if your listeners or your viewers haven't had the opportunity to read the book Blueprint, which tells a story of how the Democrats flipped Colorado from a red state to a purple and then a blue state, and then how they've used that blueprint now to go across the country, and the same tactics that they used in Colorado, they successfully used in Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico. They're now doing that in Texas, and Idaho is now number one on their target. They go to fast-growing states, right? And their tactic is when they come to Idaho, they don't try to change my mind or people that have lived here for a generation or two. They start reaching out to the new people that are in the state and say, you know, this is a great place you've moved to, but the politics need a little bit of work. So join us and we'll make this even a better place. And so over time, they start engaging with the new folks that are coming into the state. They start engaging with the younger people in the state. In Idaho, the Democrats, they are reaching out through mailers and social media to 15-year-olds because they know those 15-year-olds will vote in the next presidential election. We're not doing that. The Republican Party's not doing that in Idaho. We're too busy pointing at each other and fighting with each other while the Democrats are here. So let me tell you, in a small state like Idaho, where I'm the chairman, volunteer, I've got 3 paid staff. The Democrats by the first of next year will have 15 paid full-time people in Idaho. They're opening up 3 more full-time offices. They just signed a 7-year lease on 4,000 square feet of prime office space in downtown Boise, and they have 4 times more money than we do in the bank. And that money can come from Idaho. Read the book. This is what they do. Idaho is next on their list. And I don't want it to go too long, but I just want your listeners and viewers to think of this. If we would have just stopped the Democrats in just Colorado or New Mexico or Arizona, and just 2 of those senators were currently Republican, we wouldn't have the issues in Washington, D.C. right now because we would own the Senate. But because we took our eye off the ball in those states, we allowed them to drift purple and then blue. You know, we've got this mess in DC. We're not going to let it happen here in Idaho. So that's what we're focusing our efforts on, is stopping the Democrats in their tracks.
That's good. I'm glad you're aware of that.
I was just going to say, the first thing is just being aware of what the tactic is and what they're going to try, and then you can thwart it. The
Blueprint is a good book. I encourage our viewers to read it. It's a quick read, but it explains in a mere 4 years they went from red to blue. But I've got a question for you that I think is probably at least as big a challenge as what you're concerned about coming from California and other places, and that's with your own party. So you have a supermajority, just like we do in North Dakota. I think it is widely recognized and accepted that those states that have supermajority in both chambers tend to be less conservative because they've become the big tent party. Because people recognize, it's hard, you can't get elected unless you put an R behind your name. And so inevitably what occurs is that people that are not maybe well established on the principles, the conservative principles of being a Republican, are in, and it tends to water things down. And it's really hard because we don't want intra-party fighting, right? But you also want a party that means something. I would really love to hear your comments on this because we are dealing with it right now in North Dakota.
Well, one thing we did about 10 years ago is we closed our primaries so that you have to register as a Republican to not just be on the ballot, but actually vote in our primaries. And part of it was to address the fact that people that weren't Republicans were messing around in our primaries, trying to influence who our nominee would be for the reason you just mentioned, and that is, whoever wins the Republican primary is, 95% is going to win the general. And so we're constantly trying to, recruit the candidates that reflect best what the Republican values and principles are. But what we're dealing with as we go through this effort is the infighting becomes very distracting. And infighting just kind of sucks the oxygen out of the room. It destroys, morale. And when we try to reach out to all the new move-ins to Idaho, and we finally get them to attend a precinct committee meeting or a county meeting, and the first meeting they go to, people are just screaming and hollering, beating the hell out of each other, they're probably not going to come back, right? So it just works against what we're trying to accomplish in making sure that as our state grows, the Republican Party continues to grow. So those are kinds of things we're struggling with. We have at the party initiated what we call our political welcome wagon. So when people show up in Idaho, the first time they hear about the Republican Party, it's not something that they read in the paper or hear on the news. They hear it from their neighbor, their fellow Republican, and encourage them and let them know that the reason that they were attracted to this quality of life here in Idaho is because it's built upon the principles and values of the Republican Party. And if they want to maintain this lifestyle that attracted them, they need to become involved now. And so that's what we're working on. But definitely we struggle with party unity. And if you read the book, The Blueprint, that's one of the things that the Democrats look for is infighting in the Republican Party, because they know that the Democrats then know that they can come in and start working their tactics, and the Republicans have taken their eye off the ball.
This is so good to hear from another perspective, from another state. It really is, Tom, because we struggle with that too. I like the welcome wagon idea. I think that is a really good idea because you can solidify, and it's one-to-one, and that's an excellent workaround.
Yeah, happy to share with you some of those ideas, Lori, offline, about some of the social media, the direct mail, the knocking on the doors, 2 or 3 times a year, having community events so that these new people can meet their elected Republican officials. It's just an opportunity to engage with those people that are new to the state.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
It is.
Same with the closed primaries we saw in 2016 and in 2020 with our current governor, Burgum. Huge, when you analyze the numbers, huge shift. Clearly, the Democrats voted for Republicans of their choice in the primary, altering the outcome, altering the path of politics in North Dakota.
So educational to talk to other states. Thank you, Tom, for your time tonight. We really, really appreciate it. We'll keep in touch.
It was great. And Lori, we have to have you on Red Wave Radio.
Done.
All right, thanks.
See you later.
Nice meeting you, Becker, and thanks, Lori. Good seeing you again.
You too. You too. All right, folks, we will be right back with special guest Julie Fedorchak with the PSC. No, we're not.
Tomorrow.
Yep.
When you're buying windows, make sure you're comparing apples to apples. Hi, I'm Jesse with the Window Source. We only sell you the best windows and doors for the best price. Call the Window Source. Just because you pay less doesn't mean you get less.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York-style pizza. We also feature gyros with the region's only gyro meat spit. Plus, Nathan's Hot Dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to fold them if you want to hold them. New York to go. We deliver for you.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got MyPillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. Go to MyPillow.com right now to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. For example, you can get my premium MyPillows regularly $69.98, now just $29.98, the lowest price ever.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit mypillow.com.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
At Beck Communications, we've been planning for your future. Over the past decade, we've placed nearly 200,000 miles of dedicated fiber optics in the ground. Enough fiber optic strands to circle the world 8 times. Taking no shortcuts, we connected every home and business in our service area with dedicated fiber optics. It's your personal, unrestricted, unthrottled connection to the world. Best of all, this dedicated fiber means you do not share your connection. We call this intimate dedicated connection Beck Fiber.
Welcome back. It's time for Mailbag. Not Julie Fedorchuk. She's tomorrow night. Ignore what I said. Just listen to the liberals. Never trust what I say. I'm a liar.
No, he's
okay.
not a liar. Okay, so we've got some
Mailbag.
mailbag. We went into the social media mailbag and looked on our Facebook posts from this last week. And actually, we've got some really interesting stuff to share with you. Let's start the very first one here, too. The very first one here is on grassroots organizing. And the question was, after we had done a program where we were talking to grassroots organizers, are you involved in a local grassroots group? Would you like to be? Yep, District 8 Republican Party and a few others, this person says. Why, you ask? Well, I'm sick of liberty and freedom being eroded, sick of the Constitution being perverted, sick of paying a crap load of taxes, sick of tyranny, sick of no accountability for the above mentioned. I could go on, and I think that person probably could. Yep, and somebody says, yep, why? Well, because the people don't need government telling us what is best for us. We have very smart viewers, just saying. So the next page has just a couple more here. These are other suggestions. Somebody said would like to read and learn what they have to say. So somebody is actually getting activated by our post asking about grassroots. Majorly involved with one and a member of about 6 others. That person is very active. Yes, North Dakota Young Republicans, District 35 Republicans, and a few more that don't have names or formal organization. Now, I love that. That is what grassroots is right there. And that's what people who are thinking that this is coordinated need to know, that there's a lot. It's like herding cats, people. They're everywhere. So some groups don't have grassroots politics as a prime directive, but as a necessary component when issues arise. And I think that is a marvelous thing as well. And then this group here is, I think this is Cassie Schmidt on her group, and she says, let parents decide that. And that is a group, I think, in Fargo right now. So if you are interested, you can actually see the link there, and you can probably put that in Facebook and look that up. So this is a little advertising for a couple of these people. One was, I was part of the Tea Party movement, and that was exciting. I remember the Tea Party well as well. Yes, on the right-hand side, Let Freedom Ring. Another group. Now, that one I had not heard about. Have you heard about Let Freedom Ring?
No. I love all these small groups.
I
so
do
it's
too.
This is what makes it work.
And this is what makes it work. And then on the bottom, we have had them on a couple of different times to talk about the Health Summit as well. And that is Health Freedom North Dakota. And they have a new website, by the way, for the group Conservatives, North Dakota Conservatives. It is CANND.org. For if you want to go to Charlie Kirk. I wanted to remind you of that. They have a new, Conservative Advocates has a new website, and it's a lot easier than Conservative Advocates, all the words there. It's a CANND.org, I believe. So Conservative Advocates. Okay, so that's another one of those groups. All right, on to the next one. The next one here is a query we had about when we had Matthew Simon on our show, and we looked at his resolution. You can see it just below the post there in the center, flanked by the messages from the posters on the sides there. The resolution from District 8 prohibits government spending money on businesses or municipalities that have mask or vaccine mandates. What do you think of this approach? And generally, I would have to say positive.
Yeah, I think that's very true. There's folks are saying, yes, District 8, lead the way. The days of North Dakota being afraid to lead are dwindling. If not North Dakota, then who? And that is a great, great comment.
That is a great statement.
Someone says Article 10, Section 18 of the Constitution in North Dakota already prohibits much of what the state does spend money on in the private sector. So a district resolution will make them laugh. Well, I suppose that's possible, but it's good to try. It's good to put effort in. I'm glad they quoted the party platform. Me too. I'm all about the party platform.
I am.
Someone says I like it. Will not hold my breath at this point, and they're a person that's going to lose their job because of the vaccine requirement at Sanford. Someone else says government needs to stop spending other people's hard-earned money on businesses in the federal government public system. Sad when you have to work until you're dead to afford the greedy system for those that don't have to work as long while on your dime. And someone else says, finally, people are waking up. And I will say I'm pretty excited. I am working on something that is sort of along the lines of this District 8 resolution, something that for the legislature to take a look at, and we will talk about that on one of our future shows.
All right, now this last slide here will show you an email that we got on the 24th, and this is so interesting. It's tiny, but I'll tell you what, it packs a punch too. This person says, hi there at No Apologies. Thanks for putting up quotes by Thomas Sowell. Now you'll notice tonight we've already had one quote already tonight by Thomas Sowell. He says he went to the library and got a couple of his books. Love them. He can clearly describe political ideals that I have imagined but could not put into words. And I thought that was a beautiful way to say it, because I think that same way about Thomas Sowell. So for those of you who don't know anything about Thomas Sowell and you have seen our quotes and you're wondering about Thomas Sowell, I thought I would give you a little background on this fascinating man. I just looked it up. He just turned 91 years old just June 30th, which is my son's birthday, so I will always remember that. Anyway, some interesting facts. He grew up poor, fatherless, very, very poor in North Carolina. His family then moved to Harlem. He worked at a machine shop. He worked as a delivery man for Western Union for a while, Thomas Sowell did. And get this, he tried out for the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1948.
I
don't know if people knew that little tidbit about him. Also, he is very prolific. He was drafted into the military in 1951 during the Korean War. He was assigned to the U.S. Marine Corps. And because of his experience in photography, he became then a Marine Corps photographer. His alma mater, Harvard University, BA, Columbia University, MA, PhD from University of Chicago, and he writes from a libertarian conservative perspective. If you see our quotes, you know they're off. What I love about him is he's pithy and concise most of the time. Usually the long ones are not Thomas Sowell. He has very few words and just packs a punch. He also says that his influencers are Friedrich Hayek and Milton Friedman. And he has written more than 30 books on topics that we cover on this show all the time. He wrote a nationally syndicated weekly column primarily on the topics that we cover for 32 years. He did that from 1984 to 2016, and the man is 91 years old, so take a break, dude. I'm glad that he finally... Also, the amount of material that he has is not only immense, but it is excellent. And so you will see a lot of Thomas Sowell quotes on this program because it just fits perfectly.
He's one of a kind.
Yeah, he really is. So we love this. One of the reasons that we put those quotes up, by the way, is to expose people to a lot of different quotes from people. Particularly, you'll notice the hypocrisy that we show with Saul Alinsky. You will see quotes by many other, think of some other people that we've had quotes from. But we love those quotes. We think that makes the program interesting, and they're usually attached to something that we've just been talking about. So watch for a lot of Thomas Sowell, and if you want to read somebody great, pick up one of his books.
All right. Folks, we'll be right back. Lori's got a good topic for us coming up next.
I hope so.
When you can't find answers to your recurring health challenges, it can feel like your health and your future are being held hostage. The Wellness Way is a network of health restoration clinics that think and act differently to solve the health challenges others can't. Here, we disrupt the standard approach to care through a combination of testing, individual plans, and one-on-one guidance, putting your health and your future where they belong, in your own hands.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Spas, etc. Yeah.
You've come to know and trust us for over 18 years with the largest selection and showroom in Western North Dakota for our beautiful Sundance spas. Plus, you can pick out your next home experience with our selection of pool tables, shuffleboards, and fun accessories.
Spas, etc. Your relaxation destination on Main and Bismarck.
40 years ago, Aero Service Team started with one truck and lots of hard work.
Times may have changed, but the hard work that we put in to get your lives back in order after fire, water, and disaster hasn't.
Over the years, we've seen so many families lose their belongings due to water and fire damage. Restoring homes back to the original state has made every hour of hard work well worth it.
Thank you for trusting our family with yours.
When disaster strikes, you only have to make one call. Aero Service Team does it all.
Every great pizza has a secret. At New York To Go, that secret lies in our perfectly recreated New York water, the key ingredient to making our signature New York style pizza. We also feature gyros with the region's only gyro meat spit, plus Nathan's hot dogs, calzones, and our delicious jumbo buffalo wings. Try a 14-inch or our special giant 20-inch pizza tonight. You gotta know how to pull them if you want to hold them. New York To Go, we deliver for you.
It's every American's right to bear arms. At Mandan Sporting Goods, we're here to help you support your Second Amendment rights, which reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Whether you're looking for a pistol for personal defense or collector gun, we have the staff to help you. We also have the area's largest inventory of ammo and reloading supplies.
Mandan Sporting Goods, the area's local gun and ammo specialists.
Welcome back. It's No Apologies. You made it. It's our final segment for the night. And Lori, you've got a topic for us, of which I've just learned about, and I'm just shaking my head.
He's shaking his head and rolling his eyes, kind of what I did, but I read this article. It was an MSN article, and I couldn't roll my eyes far enough back in my head for this either, because the article is titled, "What is Up with the Brand Name for Pfizer's COVID Vaccine?" Let me just tell you, it's a hideous name, and now it's out in the open now that they've gotten FDA. Is that really approval, or is it just actually acknowledgement? I don't know if that, I keep hearing, like every single day it's a news story about the Pfizer vaccine, So the deal is that on Monday of last week, one of the most popular and talked about drugs in the world was approved by the FDA to prevent the coronavirus. And I'm going to say the name for you so that you can say it properly. First, I'm going to mispronounce it several times. Let's show the first pull quote from here. So on Monday, just as I said, it is called Comirnaty. 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 So you know it, and know it well as the Pfizer vaccine, or perhaps more properly as the Pfizer-BioNTech mRNA COVID vaccine. But now that it's officially approved, they say, the vaccine has finally been allowed to use its fancy brand name, which they have dubbed Comirnaty. Now, when you look at just look at the letters of that and say, how many different ways can you possibly say the way, just leave that up for a second. You can say that a bunch of different ways. You can say Comirnaty, you can look at it and just, it does not roll off the tongue no matter how you slice it. The problem with this is that they have to go through these naming conventions, and many, many, many different drugs. I was mentioning before during the break to Rick that the one that gets me all the time is Xeljanz. It's just like the worst possible name for these. Now, what is the purpose of naming these anyway? I don't really know, but I just know that there are many, many different ways you can say Comirnaty, nope, Comirnaty is how you're supposed to say it. So moving on, I started just reading.
Come on, your stupidity.
I know, this is just so dumb. Intelligencer asked professional namers. They asked them what they thought of this name, and this first one says, I try not to be too harsh with new names because the problem with new names is that they're new, said Michael Beirut, partner at Pentagram Design. The first step, clearly, when evaluating a novel name is to grapple with trying to say it from memory. And then he tried to say it from memory. He's like, it's something like it begins with Comirnaty. It's got mRNA in it, Comirnaty. No, chromatary. He didn't even get it. He did not even get the name. So then, of course, they ask other people in this article as well. Certainly there was a general sense of dismay, or at least empathetic pain from the people in the greater naming community regarding Comirnaty. We always give clients the honest assessment, said Mike Carr of Namestormers, who has been naming things since the early 80s. This is the guy who came up with Angry Orchard and CarMax. Those are some of his enduring successes. This is about as bad a name as I've seen. He says, we may want to just stick to calling it the Pfizer experimental biological agent. No, that's just me. That was just my own quote. Meanwhile, did you know that the Moderna vaccine is named Spikevax? Did you know that that's the name of the Moderna vaccine? Have you ever heard Spikevax or Spikevax or Spikavax?
I like that compared to Comirnaty, Spikevax. I'm going to get that one.
Spikevax as
seems like
a
it's
name
going to
that
kick the ass of Comirnaty.
It seems kind of metal. This just cracks me up. Anyway, the bottom line of the article, and I'm going to read you a little bit more from this article because it is hilarious. The whole article is basically talking about naming conventions and how they come up with these names and why they call them this. And after a couple of tries, it's supposed to get easier, but I don't think this is going to really have a very, very good I don't think it's going to have a very good sticking power with people because I don't think people are going to remember to name it. So after that gentleman tried to say it a couple of times and couldn't get it right, it's just like, this is what it says, it's just like you're saying community with a mouthful of peanut butter while you're in Dublin. So with an accent too. The thing about this is that the creators of this name packed all those spot-on allusions into 4 syllables, wrote Margaret Wolfson, founder of the creative director of River and Wolf, in an email. That is not an easy thing to do, especially given the hyper-strict regulations and issues around pharmaceutical naming and trademarking. The name might be a little difficult for some speakers to say, as Mimati doesn't quite roll off the tongue, and just Mernity doesn't quite roll off the tongue and just misses the mark as an elegant sound. That said, people will get used to that, and the melding of relevant concepts makes it a winning mark. While naming is a lot about sound, you can't ignore how it looks. It's got all those rounded top letters making it messy to read. It looks like C-M-M-M-M-M-M-M-M-M-M-N-T, she says. You have to be able to spell it, and you have to be able to say it, said Carr. This name fails on every count. It just cracks me up. The Pfizer's vaccine new name was created by the Brand Institute, if you're wondering who's in charge of this monstrosity, a specialist in the pharmaceutical naming space. And the name isn't new in Europe since Pfizer first rolled out Comirnaty when it received EU regulatory approval last Christmas. So it's been in Europe forever, but we've never heard it in the United States. Have you ever heard Comirnaty? Okay, I'd never heard like Spike Vax either. According to Fierce Pharma, the other names BioNTech and their friends at Pfizer considered were Covuity, Rynaxycovir, and Covimirna. It's terrible. I'm going to tell you a little quick story. When I was in the hospital with our first child, I was about to we were going to name our children. And we have 3 boys. My husband threatened me by saying that he was going to name our children Glystrup, Zwipule, and if it was a girl, Gretula. After that,
Oh, wait, I like Gretula.
I took over the naming conventions after that because these were such hideous. He, of course, was yanking my chain, and he thought he was hilariously funny. But I think there may be a Zwipule pharmaceutical name down the pike somewhere here because that's how awful these
It's like
names
Frank Zappa's kids' names.
Right, like Dweezil and Moon Unit.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
horrible. Anyway, this is a problem with naming these things. It made me laugh. This group that actually did name it, we've spent like months now learning not only how these names would kind of get a feel for them, said Beirut. Pfizer is kind of like the Coca-Cola. Moderna feels like Pepsi, and J&J ended up being like RC Cola, she said. An off-brand funny thing. They acquired brand profiles of their own, no doubt to the chagrin of the sponsoring companies. And they name these with actual companies who name these things Comirnaty. I know. It's just hideous. So on our next...
I got nothing.
I just thought I would share that with you because you probably will never see the name. Obviously, I haven't seen any advertising for it on TV either. But tomorrow, we have an amazing show for you. We have not only a great guest who is going to be in remotely, but we also will have in studio the PSC chairman.
Not Julie
currently.
Fedorchak.
Yes!
Oh, my God!
She's here. She's going to be on the show, so do not miss it. We'll see you soon. Thomas Sowell.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of MyPillow. Thanks to your support, you've helped make MyPillow become one of the fastest growing companies in America. Over the last 12 years, you've helped MyPillow create thousands of jobs right here in the USA.
When I got my pillow, I'm asleep almost immediately. I stay asleep at night and I wake up more well-rested in the morning.
That's why I invented MyPillow. My patented fill adjusts to your exact individual needs and helps keep your neck supported and aligned. I'm interrupting this commercial right now. Retailers have canceled MyPillow, and to thank you for your support, I'm gonna pass the savings directly on to you. For example, you get my 6-piece towel sets, regular $109.99, now only $44.98, or MyPillow dog beds for as low as $19.99 with your promo code.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.